Gene, it's a true pleasure to have you here.
Well, it's great to be here. In fact, I enjoy working with the young people that I met earlier today. I signed a bunch of autographs and tried to get them all pumped up to sign up for the science, engineering, technology curriculums within their school. And when they get started, keep going and never surrender.
When we look at living legends in today's environment, you're very few. You're one of them.
Okay.
We talk about Apollo 13 whenever we hear a name, and it is important for us to revisit that for the younger generation who haven't yet learned much about you. Everybody is aware from my generation and before me. When you look back now, every decade or so, I'm sure you visit. Every few years you revisit that. What was the critical component there as a leader that helped you bring it down?
I believe the background I had when I grew up, I was a military aviator. I had a engineering degree, aeronautical engineering, but I had a lot of hands-on experience. So that science, instead of being something in paper or theoretical, was very practical. I used science on a daily basis. I used the mechanics. I learned to build aircraft. So it was a ability to take what I learned in the classroom and then apply it every day. In fact, it was amazing. I'd be driving down the street or riding, and I'd say, well, I wonder how that happened. Gee, isn't that a marvelous machine? I love just the beauty of that thing. And that was really addressing the science engineering. And then as time went on, I started looking at the stars. And it was there that I really found that I was very limited in my knowledge, and I had to seek and find and work and grow.
When you look at the current state of NASA, they are stopping many explorations. The private enterprise is coming into place. What is your take on this? Why do you think we're not doing as we did before?
I believe it's a very difficult time within the United States, and I think NASA is basically one of the challenges that exist within our nation. We have to find some way to keep developing the technologies that we need for the future. Key thing is risk is the price of technology, and difficult missions like going into space, going to the moon and to the Mars, forces new technologies to emerge. And I believe that is how NASA will eventually find its way. And I believe our nation has to recognize that if we want to provide for our people, we have to develop the cutting edge technology that is going to keep the economic engine of the country going.
I can pick three problems. One is the importance of nation, patriotism, the availability of the right science courses, and the third is the overall economic development of a nation. We're lacking in all these three areas compared to your generation, who are very resilient, who are focused and driven to do something for the country. Something has to be disruptive here. Your thoughts?
This is probably the most difficult challenge that not only our nation but the world faces. I grew up in a boarding house during World War II. The soldiers, sailors, and airmen that fought the battles over Europe and in the Pacific basically were my role models. And throughout my entire life, I had a mother, a single parent. My father died when I was young, who was basically inspirational from a standpoint of the work ethic she had, the basic integrity we had. I had teachers that basically took a hold of me when I was having difficult times and convinced me never give up, never surrender. I then went into flight training, and I learned the power of leadership there. I moved into flight test, and I ran across probably the most influential person in my life by the name of Harry Carroll. He was a Renaissance man. He tried to do everything. He was a poet. He acted in dinner theater, superb engineer. He was an inventor. And I asked him, well, Harry, why did you do this? And he said, when I die, I want to be all used up. And I thought, what a marvelous way to live. This guy is giving, he's finding, he's searching, he's learning. He is completely intrigued by everything that's going around him, and he wants to know why. And I think that is the key thing we have to take with our young people and provide the inspiration to learn why and how things exist. and become one of these people that is going to be moving and make things happen. You know, there's three kinds of people in the world. Those people who watch things happen, those people who wonder what happened, and there are those that make things happen. The young people have to be the ones who are making things happen.
If you don't provide the ecosystem, it is a flat world. Knowledge is permeable. There are no knowledge boundaries anymore. Somebody else will do it, and do it in a far-fetched land. I just wanted to learn from you, if you were given the rope, you know, what would you do? One or two things as a lesson.
That's a difficult question, but I think the first thing that I would do is find some way to inspire the young people of not only our nation but all nations to seek out and find and obtain an education. I think the second part would be to find leaders within the various nations willing to take those young people who just acquired that education and put them to work, let them develop themselves. You know, I was fortunate in the space program. I came in, we had a generation of leadership that said, well, go do it. And then they turned us loose and allowed us to do it. So I think the key thing is to trust the young people to move into the future and carry the nation, the world, the companies, the communities into the future.
On a lighter note towards the end, the most famous line from the movie, Houston, we have a problem. That has been the lasting legacy. Your thoughts on that?
That was, I was so busy when I got that call. I had already received several indications of problems from my very controllers. And all that did was again trigger me to try to figure out what the problem was they were talking about. I didn't know because I had so many problems. So I thought, well, maybe there's something specific that's bothering them. But I think the key thing in the Houston, we've got a problem, it really established the boundary that we were in a survival situation, and it was now time to take charge. You know, I was a fighter pilot, and fighter pilots my day used the term looking into the eyes of a tiger. And this is the stark and lonely feeling that you run across when you're trying to survive. Well, I think the key thing is we have to develop that survival instinct as individuals and turn it to our advantage in accomplishing those things that are great.
It's a true pleasure, Gene. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a good one.